Snowfall did not happen, was not a smooth ride, like he shot the pilot. I mean, he directed the pilot, I should say, and it was disaster. And it was like so
Really?
bad that they had to reshoot it. And he did it, and it happened because he was just stubborn and he did not really understand the way TV worked. Like he was like, I'm going to shoot it this way where it's not, because the way TV works is like they want you to do like a lot of setups, and just so that, because the director in TV doesn't have a lot of power. It's the writer, and they want the showrunner, and they want to have a lot of options in the edit room. And Singleton wanted to just like storyboard it out almost like the way you would with the movie. So like when he delivered a pilot that was crazy, it was like 15-20 minutes over, and we're talking like network TV, it had to be like 44 minutes
exactly,
and it was way over. The way he shot it, there were no options to recut it in the edit room.
Wow.
And he contemplated like leaving. He stuck around, which was the right decision, both creatively and financially, because Snowfall did really well.
Thank you for listening. Thank you for downloading. And thank you for subscribing to the latest edition of the 12 Kyle podcast. I am your boy, 12 Kyle. I want to thank you all for tuning in as you do each and every week. Shout out to those of you who are watching on YouTube and Spotify. All right. This week we have a guest. And I must say before we get started, it is an extreme pleasure to have this guest on. I never heard of him until a couple of weeks ago, but he is he's a great writer. He is the author of a new book that's out that I want everybody to go check out. It's called The Life of Singleton: From Boyz in the Hood to Snowfall. My man, Thomas Golianopoulos. Did I pronounce that right?
You pronounced it A+ pronunciation.
Welcome to the 12 Kyle podcast, man.
Glad to be here, Kyle. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, no problem. No problem. So let's get started right there. Like being a writer, I know you had mentioned when we were exchanging emails that you wrote for The Source, and I really know I don't have time to on this episode, but I'd love to bring you back and so we could talk about your time at The Source magazine, which is the hip hop Bible. I'm a hip hop head, and as I started going through your bio, and I'm seeing some of the interviews that you've done over the years. And I saw an interview read an interview that you did with Nas, and I'm like, oh, I gotta ask him about the new Nas album if he's heard it. So let me ask you, before we even get started on the book, do you still? I know when you worked at The Source, you had to have been entrenched in hip hop. Do you still, listen to hip hop and get on in music like you did before?
I listen to. After we get off this call, I'll send you my best of playlist from this year. Which spoiler alert, there's no records from the new Nas album. I'm like the biggest Nas head. I was like notorious. Like when I was like the Nas stan, like at every place I worked at, people would make fun of me. I grew up in Astoria, which is right next to Queensbridge. Like I went to elementary school with Ron Artest.
Okay.
We were like,
you did a feature on him as well.
I did a feature on Ron. Yeah. We talked about like the guidance counselor who hated him and like all the teachers and everything. But I love, I still listen to like everything, like every Friday morning, like sometimes like Thursday nights, I'll stay up to like midnight to like download everything.
You're one of those guys?
Yeah. I listen to like everything. Like I feel like I have to, like, because I grew up like saving up my allowance so I could buy a CD, and now I pay $17 a month and I have everything at my fingertips. Like when I first got Spotify like 10 years ago, like I ran through everything. I was like Googling like every album that came out in like certain years just to go back and listen to stuff. You know what I mean? Because I had the iPod and I had like, but like just there's so much stuff that you listen. I remember spending like 2 months just like listening to like every like Philly soul album from the 70s. You know what I mean? Like I spent like months listening to like every Miles Davis record. Like,
it's at your fingertips. Why not?
Yeah, but hip hop, like I listen to everything still. Like I love, like I hate I understand people don't have the time or the passion. So like I send out like a best of playlist like I started doing it during the COVID year.
Okay.
And I send it out to like a lot of my friends who grew up listening to hip hop, who we listened to rap together, we went to shows together,
Same.
you know, in the 90s, but they just don't listen. And it's the excuse like, oh, it's not the same. It's not the same. Oh, it's all this type of rap. It's all Southern rap or mumble rap or drill or whatever. And it's just like, you just have to look, and there's stuff that's like sample based rap that, you know, is still kind of similar in the same vein as the stuff that we grew up listening to, but you just have to like look to find it. Like you're not going to find it on like Hot 97.
No,
midday,
not even close.
You know? So yeah, no, I listen to everything still. Like, I have my favorites. Like I today, like I listened to like Jay Electronica for like 4 hours straight.
I haven't made it to Jay Elect just yet, man. I'm still stuck on Exhibit C. That's about as far as I can go.
Oh no, he put out like 4 EPs this year, and he put out like
I heard about. I just never got around to it.
He finally put Act 1 and Act 2 onto streaming like around the same time in September. Wow. So like. Yeah, for some reason today I was just like, oh, I know I had to write a little something at work today about one of his verses. So I just got into it. And I was just like zoning out, like listening to it. So yeah, I still listen to like everything really.
Dude, yeah. Please send me that playlist. And like I said, if you like what you experience on this episode, then we'll definitely bring you back to talk some hip hop, because that's right up my wheelhouse, man. I love it, and it's still a part of me to this day. And I'm slightly older than you. I'm 53, so we came up in that same era of just some really, really dope music. So your time writing for The Source, and King Magazine, and oh my God, when you said you wrote for King, I was like, wow.
No, I was an editor at King. I was like the senior editor, but I did all the non-girl stuff though. Like I did not do.
I am convinced that I probably read some of your stuff and didn't know who you were.
I mean, no, I did like me and another writer, Clover Hope. We did like a Belly oral history, which was a pretty big story we did. I did the story on Lloyd Avery, the guy from Boyz n the Hood, who was the blood who shot Ricky.
In Boyz n the Hood, yeah.
I'm trying to think. I did this big Nas interview for King where I went to LA. It was like right around the time the Untitled album came out. Yes. And we went about that was like one of my favorite like rapper interviews, just because it was like one of those career spanning interviews. So I got to like ask him like nerd questions, like, you know, like I said, like I'm a huge Nas fan. And you were able to ask him stuff like, did you think that he was talking about you on this? Like, did you think this and this and this? Like, you know, like, what was it? Asking him. Yeah, anyway, it was a long time ago, so I can't remember everything off the top of my head.
I literally just read it an hour ago. That was really good.
That's still really online?
It's still on your website.
The Nas interviews on my website from King? Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
I need to go. See, I need to refresh it. But anyway, when I asked him about like, yo, why have you never said you're the best? Like, this was like around like 07, 08 when like Rain was always like best rapper alive. And he goes, I said I was the best one time, but he goes, Pun actually wrote that lyric because it was in John Blaze, where he goes, this and that. I'm just the best or whatever. And so. And then I found a way to like get him to talk about Jay-Z without asking about Jay-Z, about like competition. Like, you ever feel like you're in competition? And he was like, she rap on Fast Life. He was going crazy. And I was like, oh my God, I gotta like come with it. I'm like, did you feel like that on Success? You know?
Right. Which still blows me away to this day, because, you know, when they fell out, we didn't think that we'd ever get a Nas and Jay-Z collaboration. But I like the way that you worded it in there, because like it was very, very slick the way that you did it. And it felt like Nas opened up and he just felt free to talk to you about Jay-Z and everything else that you asked.
I got just totally lucky, because it was like kind of like one of those things that like rap journalists would talk about was like, it depends on the day you catch him. Right. Like some days he's just like the worst interview, and then some other times he's a great interview. I know 2 people personally, like writers, who did cover stories on him where like, usually back in the day, like when you did a cover story on someone, you'd get up with them like 2 or 3 times, and they both had the same experience where they were like, one time it was just like, he just was like shut down and just like, yo, 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 he sounded like
he was asleep.
Like he was asleep, like he was like leaving a message on Premiere's answering machine, you know what I mean? All right, chill, and then there were other times and then the next time they got up with him, he was like, talkative and open. So I got lucky. I caught him. I was in a studio in LA, and I think he was in the mood to talk just because the whole thing was going down with Def Jam, where they were saying they were going to like cancel the album because he refused to change the title of it.
Right.
And that's a good record. I liked it more back then than I do now. But
it's not something I go back to, but it's certain songs that I'll go back to. But I mean, it's still Nas. So I mean, I love the guy, so I'm always gonna go back to his old stuff.
Queens Get the Money is like the best record. But I mean, you know the secret about that record though, right?
No, I don't. Tell me.
I mean, it's pretty obvious that like Jay Electronica wrote that record.
I had no idea.
Go back and listen to it. Listen to the punchlines. Listen. Okay. I mean, the book. That's where my mind is. The beat. Anytime you hear a beat with no drums, it's like, come on, that's Jay Electronica. Like he did produce the record, but like I'm like pretty sure that he wrote that record. I think other people have talked about that actually.
I never knew. I'm definitely.
But it's not really like a ghostwriting situation. Right. It was just like, here, what can I say here? You should say this here.
Like a little reference,
like something like that. I know, like, I mean, I remember interviewing Jungle, and Jungle was like, "Oh, I gave Nas like 1 or 2 lines, really." But Queens Get the Money though sounds like a Jay Electronica record. Come on,
I will definitely
go back and listen to it.
I will definitely go back and listen to that, man. You mentioned growing up in Astoria, so let's start there. How did young Thomas become a writer? What was there a certain teacher that inspired you to write, or it was something that you just kind of fell into?
Well, it was kind of something I fell into. Like I love, English class was my favorite. Like in junior high school, like I was like a reader. Like my mom would take me to the library when I was like 4 or 5 years old, and I would just like go through all the books. You know what I mean? It was like I would go to bed and just like read with the lights on for like an hour. Wow. You know what I mean? Like in bed. But like actually like writing, like I was good at writing essays in school and everything. And then basically what happened was I was going to be a teacher. Well, actually rewind. Like I was like delusional. Like up until I was like 18, I thought I was going to be a baseball player. But then I realized I wasn't when I got to college, and I kind of wanted to be a teacher. And I did 1 day in student teaching my junior year, and I'm like, this is not for me. And I was a journalism minor. And I was taking basically, it was my first semester taking journalism classes. I was taking Reporting 101, and I had this professor, I remember his name, Joe Calderoni, and he was an investigative reporter for the New York Daily News. And we had an assignment on election night 2000 to cover the election, however you may. And everybody in my class like went to Hillary Clinton's headquarters, because that was the year she ran for Senate against for the open seat. I think Moynihan was retiring. And so everybody in my class like went to the Hillary Clinton headquarters, and they did not have access. They were like out on the street. Meanwhile, like 2 weeks before, like I reached out to the Rick Lazio campaign, the Republican who was running, and I was just like, hey, I'm with a student journalist with NYU. Can I get credentials for the event? And I got him. I actually like told like some girl in my class who I had a crush on. I was like, yo, you should come. You should do this because it's, you're not going to get into the Clinton headquarters. And basically I interviewed him. I interviewed his campaign manager. I interviewed the supporters, I should say. Came home like super late, watched the terrible Bush Gore returns, woke up like mad early, and typed up, like a 3-page. I still had to use a typewriter back then. Actually, I didn't have a computer in my house. This is 2000. Like I was late. I still had a typewriter in 2000.
Old school.
And my professor basically was like, gave me like an A++. He actually like kind of like embarrassed me by like, you know, using my paper, my article as an example of like what you should do, how to be like resourceful. And I kind of just like got bit, I guess you could say. Like, I know it's such a cliche, but like I just really enjoyed talking to people and like being the one asking questions, which always makes these things kind of awkward for me because I'm used to the one asking questions, right? Yeah. And I started writing for the school newspaper, and then I got my internship at the Source like my senior year. And that's how I, got my way in there. And from then, so I was like, I didn't think of it as I decided to like make it a career. I guess it was like my senior year at NYU, because I had a pretty decent job. I was like working in like the publicity and marketing department at Walt Disney Pictures. And it was like decent salary too. It was like hourly, but like they offered me like jobs, like full-time jobs, like while I was a senior, and I turned it down because I was like, I'm not leaving school as a senior. And then they offered me like a month before graduation. And I was just like, I kind of want to do journalism. Right. So that's like the fork in the road, the sliding doors moment, basically. Like, what would have happened if I took that job? Like, I probably would have moved to LA within like a year or two, because I had the guy who was supposed to be like his assistant, like eventually went to LA. Wouldn't have met my wife because I met her like around that, like a little later, like in 2003. So that's basically how I got into like journalism, and then from there it was just trying to get better and trying to like learn as much as I could about it, because I always read magazines and newspapers, but then it became into like, because again I was a reader, but it was just more about like studying and learning, and because that's what a lot of it, I mean, you get better through repetition, but you also, like, if you work at a magazine, you have to like study, say like the front of the book, like, the little articles in the beginning, like what makes a good magazine. I was like super obsessed with that, like 2003, 2004, like that entire like decade, really. Like it was like studying magazines, and magazines don't really exist anymore. So.
Unfortunately, no. Yeah. I mean, you're talking to somebody who grew up reading them cover to cover. I remember my parents, when I was probably about 7 or 8, I would get Sports Illustrated I had my own subscription.
Oh, nice.
And so I loved, reading people. Like Ralph Wiley was one of my favorite writers. But yeah, so it's, and then, transitioning to, like I said, getting the Source. Man, the Source, by the time I got my hands on the Source, it was everything. So I was always intrigued by people who could put those words together. And, unlike my friends, I wasn't bothered by, the long form writing or what have you, sometimes that we would get. And, and like I said, I definitely want to talk to you about the Source. But let's talk a little bit about the book. You did send a copy. Now I'm going to purchase a copy because I want to have a hard copy. You can't really see it, but like I have a book here, Dilettante by
that's one of the books that that's like the book that got me my book deal, actually.
Really?
Because we sent out like the proposal and it got rejected by like 30 people, I think. My agent sent it out and we got like all rejections. And then Dilettante comes out and they're like, how the publishing industry, it's like every other industry. I mean, can I cuss? Like, is it okay?
Yeah, say what the hell you want to say.
Yeah, they're dick writers, so like...
I meant to tell you that before we started. Yeah, you can cuss.
Okay, so that book does well and they're like, oh, biographies on Black artists, like... That book was, I mean, my book is good. My book is not as good as Dilettante. Dilettante is like incredible. Like it's yeah. It's funny. This is the second podcast I'm on where the host brought up Dilettante, and I'm just like, that shit is so good.
Yeah, it is. Book. I mean, like I bought the book and then I ended up buying the audio book. The audio because I was spending so much time in the car. But I want to buy your book because I want to have it sitting here so people can see it as well. Because
thank you.
I'm midway through, and it is a fascinating read. When we first connected, the thing that stood out was I was like, wow, John Singleton. I was like, because I was a fan, but it dawned on me like nobody talks about him. You know, like nobody had said anything. Of course, we knew about what he did in Hollywood and everything like that. And being a fan, and I was a fan really growing up for, Black filmmakers. And for a long time, it was just Spike and it was John, and that was it.
Yeah.
And so by the time Boyz in the Hood comes out, which is one of my favorite movies of all time. So when we connected, there was no reason for me to say no. I was like, yo, we got to do this. Like, we have to do this interview. So let's start there, man. The life of Singleton. Why John, and why now? Because the book, for those of you watching and listening, the book just came out in October. Again, it's a fascinating read. No matter what you think you know about John Singleton, you don't know, because, like I said, I'm learning things that I never knew that I thought I did about him and his upbringing, his background, and everything like that. So why the life of Singleton, and why now, and more specifically?
Well, I mean, I was a huge fan of Singleton's work. Boyz in the Hood, like, I was 12 when it came out, and like, I was like, it was funny. I remember being a kid and seeing the trailer, and it was just, oh, Ice Cube's in a movie. All right, I need to see that. Like, I loved Ice Cube. Like,
Same.
I loved NWA. I was listening to it when I shouldn't have, probably when I was like 11 years old. Like, I remember buying the CD for the last NWA album, the one that Cube isn't on.
Yes.
Like, that came out like a month or two before Boyz in the Hood, actually. And I was like in 6th grade, and I'm like, I can't believe I'm like, they sold this to me, and I'm listening to it.
And didn't ask you for any type of ID or anything.
Yeah. So I loved his movies, and I loved the movie industry, like, as a kid. Like, I was obsessed with like just typical shit like sports, rap music, and movies. But like, for some reason with movies, like, it wasn't just the actual art form. Like, I loved the business. I loved learning about the business. I loved learning like who was up, who was down, what movies were doing well at the box office. Like, so I knew about the behind the scenes stuff, kind of. Like, I remember being a kid and like following the box office numbers, and like seeing like, oh, Higher Learning debuted at number 2 and it made like $40 million. Like, that's pretty good for Singleton. And I rooted for Singleton because he was young and because he made like one of my favorite movies.
Right.
But when I got into writing, into journalism, like, it was, so I worked at the Source for a few years, and I went freelance. And like, one of the first big freelance stories I did was I did an oral history of Boyz in the Hood for King magazine.
Yes.
Like, in 2006. And I talked to basically like everybody from the movie, aside from Angela Bassett and Fishburne. And I spoke to Singleton like at the end of the project, and we had a great talk. Like, I really enjoyed, like, celebrities, it's like kind of like they don't want to talk to you, you know, like they're doing it because they have to. And it was funny because Singleton was doing it because he had to. Like, that was the first thing he said when he got on the phone. He was like, I'm sick of talking about this movie. I'm a veteran now. But my publicist says I should do this. So he was like, I got 20 minutes. And we talked for like over an hour.
Wow.
And at the end of the call, he gave me his email address, and he was like, next time, fuck this publicist shit. Just give me a call. We kind of vibed on, I mean, shoot me an email. And if I have time, I'll talk to you. If I don't, I won't. And over the next like 10 years or so, I emailed him probably like a handful of times. I think I interviewed him like 3 more times for like, interviewed him for this story I did for Vibe on like Tupac's acting career. I talked to him about this, like, Ja Rule and Too Fast, Too Furious. Like, why wasn't Ja Rule in the Too Fast, Too Furious? And he gave me a funny story for that. So he was just like a real straight shooter. And I was kind of like devastated when he passed. Like, I enjoyed it. I was actually like gonna email him just on some like, hey, I wrote this, do you want to check it out? Like, what do you think of it? Everything. And it was funny, like, for like, not funny, but it was like for like a month before he passed, I remember like debating like whether I should email him, and ask him about this one thing I'd written, what he thought of it. And but knowing the movie industry and like being into the industry the way I was, like, I took a step back and I looked at all of his movies, and I was like, every single movie had its own behind the scenes stories. Like I reported out Boys in the Hood, and like everybody kind of knows the story about how it got made, which is incredible. How he like hustled his way into making that movie. But then you have Poetic Justice, which the entire production was a shit show, mostly thanks to Tupac. And then you have like Shaft was in the gossip pages like all the time in New York because of like Singleton's battles with Scott Rudin. And then you have like, Hustle and Flow, and it was interesting about that because of, he didn't direct it, but he financed it. Right. He didn't just produce it; he wrote a check. Like the movie doesn't get made.
That I didn't know. Wow.
Oh no, that's not a revelation of the book. That was out there when he was doing press for it. But he basically invested like around like 2.9 million, I think, of his own money. And so every single movie had like a behind the scenes thing. I was like, wow, that's a chapter, that's a chapter, that's a chapter. And then like as a fan, I'm like, wait, why did he do this left turn and make Rosewood in 97? Like, why did he not direct another movie after Four Brothers for like 6 years, even though Four Brothers was this, it was an okay movie. I thought it was pretty good. I thought he elevated the material.
I loved it.
Yeah, you love Four Brothers? Yeah. It was good.
I didn't particularly care for Rosewood, and it's funny.
Oh, really? When was the last time you saw Rosewood? Did you watch it when you were younger? And
when I was younger.
Okay, you need to watch it again. It's a little slow. It's like 2 hours and 20 minutes, but like I felt like it was beautiful. Like I mean, the subject matter is horrible, obviously. Of course. The way like he shot it, like he didn't shoot it, like his DP, but it's kind of like an old school Western kind of. And
I have to go back to that.
Good luck finding it because it's like not.
It's not on streaming.
It's not on like any of the streamers. You have to like buy it from Amazon. I think. Wow. I actually bought the DVD because my wife's laptop is from like 2010, and it still has a DVD player on it.
So did you like Shaft? I love Shaft, but I'm one of the few people that love Shaft.
That movie sucks,
Thomas,
man.
I'm telling you, Thomas, if Shaft comes on right now, I will walk out of here in my living room and sit and watch it like I never saw it before.
What do you like about it?
It's weird, it's goofy, and like I'm old enough to remember Shaft, Richard Roundtree, but I was little then because I was born in 72, right?
Okay.
But
so you saw it when you
so like later. I was little, but I didn't know. I knew Shaft, but I didn't really know Shaft. But it was it was just real quirky. But it was even Busta Rhymes was funny to me in that movie. But I'm one of the few. I'm weird. I'm one of the few people that love that movie.
I love some bad movies too. So like I won't even like get on you about that. But like Shaft, it was funny. Like that was like one of the like I would watch the movies. Continuously while I was like researching the book, while I was reporting the book, while I was writing the book, during downtime when I was waiting for edits. Like there was like 3 years where like I would say like at least 50% of the movies I watched were John Singleton movies. Okay. So like every time I was making my way through the rotation and it was like time for Shaft, I was just like,
So I gotta ask, did you love Baby Boy? Because I
love Baby Boy. Baby Boy is my second favorite movie. I love Baby Boy,
dude. Baby Boy, and I'm weird. It's cool, but it's not like my go-to Singleton movie. I'll watch it, but it's not. It doesn't. But I will say this: having read the book so far, it makes me want to go back and watch it.
So did you read the Baby Boy chapter yet in the book?
No, I hadn't gotten it yet.
Okay, so once you read that, then you're going to find a new appreciation for Baby Boy. Because Baby Boy is like almost as autobiographical as Boyz n the Hood was. Like Baby Boy was like his kind of a part of his life at the time. Like Yvette was kind of based on like the mother of like two of his children. Wow. Really. And her name was Vess and Vess. Right. Like some of the lines of the movie are like stuff that he would say all the time. Like, one thing I know how to do is make pretty babies. Like his friends told me that he would say that all the time. Something like, I don't know why. I was like, you're my woman. Them girls are tricks, I think it was. Like, right. So I don't know why I fuck other females. I just do. That's like some like flippant shit that he would say. Right. To the women in his life.
Funny. Yeah, I will definitely go back and see. And like you said, I was for those of you listening and watching, The Life of Singleton the way that it opens up is very impressive. And I had no idea that he put so much of his own personal story into, Boys in the Hood, because when the way that you describe his father, right? His father reminds me very much of Furious Styles.
Oh
The
yeah.
only difference is that, his father had several kids just like John did. But he was about his business. He was about empowerment. He dealt in real estate, very much so like Furious Styles. And it opens up and I'm not going to give the book away, but it opens up with,
Well, you can give away the opening of the first 3
Okay.
pages of the book, because
Yeah,
that's kind of like, I feel I was very proud of that opening.
Listen, that is great storytelling, because how it opens up, it looks just like Boys in the Hood. John Singleton has a friend who unfortunately gets murdered. And, John Singleton grew up in South Central. So there's gangs everywhere. His father was, a guy that everybody knew and respected in the neighborhood. So gangbangers have a tendency to, if you have a strong father in the house, and they know that you're not with the bullshit, then they won't mess with your child. So they didn't. And so John Singleton's friend, gets murdered. John wants, and they're going, John didn't know that he was murdered. He just heard that he had gotten shot. And it was like, okay, we're gonna ride and find these fools that killed him. And John wants to get in the car, unlike unlike Trey from Boys in the Hood. He wants to get in the car, and they say, "No, you can't go. You got to go home." And he's
this is
upset.
what we do. This isn't what you do.
Yeah, this is what you do. This is what we do. He had his sister's gun, and I just found that to be fascinating. How to open up, because, like I said, the first couple of pages, I was like, "Yo, I never knew that there was such parallels to his story and what we saw in the movies and Higher Learning." John ran with when he was in college at USC, ran with a crew that they call the Black Pack, and it was very similar to what we saw in Higher Learning with Ice Cube and his crew. So I guess my next question is, John Singleton is someone who, by accounts for a lot of people, somewhat misunderstood. In writing the book, did you see how or why he was as misunderstood? Because for a lot of people outside of Hollywood, at least the way we were taught to know, John could have been somewhat of a dickhead, right? And it says that in the book. But I think somewhat misunderstood. Do you think? How do you think people have perceived him, or at least perceived him back then?
Well, I mean, what do you mean? Like, he's kind of a dickhead? Like,
I mean, like when you harken back to like his early days, it seemed like he was like, and I think one of his friends described him as a dickhead, because like he was just someone who was just straightforward to the point, and it was like, I'm doing it this way. This is what I'm going to do, and nobody's going to stand in my way. And he kind of rubbed some people the wrong way. I don't think it was intentional.
That was like more at film school.
Really. Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Okay.
Yeah. No, he was one of his friends. I asked about like, how would you describe his personality? And he was like 02, 03 Kanye, basically, where it was like, this is going to happen. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm going to keep speaking it. And, you might not believe me, but it's going to happen. And it was like a cockiness kind of, but he had the goods to back it up. Like he won the Nicholson Award, which is like kind of the most prestigious award given to students in the filmic writing program at SC, for this script that he wrote as a junior. And then he wrote Boys in the Hood like in September, October of his senior year.
Yes.
89. And, the guy was obsessed with film. So he knew it was good, and he was talking shit. Like, he would say like, yo, you're going to see me at the Oscars someday.
Right.
I mean, I don't even know if he believed it would be like 2 or 3 years from the point that he said it. But yeah, like, so he was like confident, but at the same time, like, once he got the deal for Boys in the Hood, he was terrified. It was like, how am I going to do this? Like, he basically, like, he got the deal like weeks after he graduated, which is insane.
Crazy.
And, he basically was like, I need to learn how to direct. Like, the only things he had directed at that point, he had done a few like student films, and they were mostly like shorts and silent and like, and he did like 2 music videos, and one of them I saw, and it's available on YouTube actually.
Okay.
And it's like laughably bad. It's like basically when Stephanie Elaine, the Columbia executive who is kind of like one of the probably the main reason Boyz n the Hood got made, when she saw it, she was like, this isn't the kind of thing you'd put on a reel. Like, let's make sure nobody sees this, because if they see it, you're not going to get the directing gig. Because again, like this is stuff that had been reported beforehand. Like, this isn't, I mean, not the stuff of the music video. I don't think people really talked about the music video before.
Right.
But like the fact that he wanted to direct the movie and they just wanted him to write it, and he turned down like 100, and I think it was like $150 or something for the script, and he was like, could you $150,000 like a month after you graduated in 1990? That's like,
no way.
What is that now? Do you have the inflation calculator? That's like probably close to like over $500,000 for sure.
Right. No way.
So that summer he basically learned how to direct. Like, he went to the Columbia screening room like every day and was watching the classics and like taking notes. It was almost like the way like a rap producer would listen to old records and search for breaks and search for like the part to sample, like what works, what doesn't work. Like, he noticed that like stuff about like how certain directors like were masters of nonverbal communication, like, panning to like a reaction shot or something. Like, he took these things from these movies, and then it was kind of like, he even called himself like a hip hop filmmaker, which it was funny. Like, when I started the book, like we were debating about like that term, and like some people thought that it was kind of like what's what I'm looking for. It was like beneath him, really, because he was more than like what's hip hop about Rosewood? Rosewood's like an incredible movie, but no, seriously, like,
right.
But like the way he went about learning to direct was kind of like, like taking something that existed and putting his own spin on it, and like that's part of the art form, really. But yeah, no, that was that was the thing I got that I thought was interesting about like that time where he was so confident. And like you said before, like some of his, they didn't let Rudolph play in his reindeer games. Like they had parties and they wouldn't invite him. And then after he got the deal, and it was like, and he had an agent too. He got an agent when he was a senior, and then he used to say like he would be able to talk shit all the time because of it. So he was he was confident in his talent, but when it came time to do it, like a normal human being, he was like, oh my God, like this is,
can I do it?
Can I do it? And he pulled it off. Like, it's incredible, like to hear, like, when I was reporting the book or researching it, this part, like listening to like his old interviews where he talked about it. And that's the thing, like when we were talking about Baby Boy, that's the reason why like I would put Baby Boy like, right beneath Boyz, is like, he's just like a much more confident director. Like, where Boyz is like very basic, and like with Baby Boy, it's like, this is a guy who's been working at his craft for 10 years now, and he's much more confident. And you got to go back and watch Baby Boy after you read the Baby Boy section.
I definitely will. I want to get to that Baby Boy section and do just that. Right now, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and on the other side, we're going to talk more John Singleton. We'll be back in just a second. And just like that, we are back. Once again, it's your boy 12 Kyle. This is the 12 Kyle podcast. And we are talking and breaking down the new book, The Life of Singleton, From Boyz n the Hood to Snowfall, with my man Thomas Golianopoulos. So I want to start where we kind of left off with Singleton. Did you, in doing your research, I know you said that you interviewed over 400 people.
No, I did like 400 interviews. I interviewed around like 300 something people.
Wow, that's still a lot of people.
It's a lot, yeah.
Did you learn anything about John Singleton that surprised you that you didn't know going in?
Well, I didn't know like 90% of the stuff that I
Wow.
learned going in. Like the only stuff that I really knew about was like the stuff that I had reported previously on like Boyz
Mhm.
in the Hood, on Poetic Justice, Too Fast a little bit. I mean, from the business aspect, like the thing that surprised me was like the time post that I kind of mentioned earlier, like that post Four Brothers time where he was getting these these deals, like, you know, there were announcements like, oh, Singleton's doing this movie, he's doing that movie, but they never really panned out. And like just kind of what was happening at the time in the movie industry and the
Mhm.
way he had a tough time navigating it. I found that interesting. The thing was with TV, like why he got into TV and like his struggles initially with TV. Like Snowfall did not happen, was not a smooth ride, you know, like he shot the pilot. I mean, he directed the pilot, I should
Mhm.
say, and it was disaster. And it was like so
Really?
bad that they had to reshoot it. Um, and he did it, and it happened because he was just stubborn and he did not really understand the way TV worked. Like he was
Mhm.
like, I'm going to shoot it this way where it's not, because the way TV works is like they want you to do like a lot of setups and just so that, because the director in TV doesn't have a lot of power. It's the
Right.
writer, and they want the showrunner, and they want to have a lot of options in the edit room.
Facts.
And Singleton wanted to just like storyboard it out almost like the way you would with a movie.
Mhm.
So like when he delivered a pilot that was crazy, it was like 15, 20 minutes over. And we're talking like network TV, it had to be like 44 minutes. And
Exactly.
it was way over. The way he shot it, there were no options to recut it in the edit room.
Wow.
And, you know, he contemplated like leaving. He stuck around, which was the right decision, both creatively and financially, because Snowfall, you know, did really well.
Mhm.
But yeah, that was the thing that surprised me about like the professional aspect was the TV transition, because this was a guy who was obsessed with film. You know, it wasn't just like he had to sit and learn how to watch TV. Like I think his one of his sons told me how um, you know, they remember him just like sitting on the beanbag in his office, like rewatching The Sopranos, like
Mhm.
overall, like the way he did when he was learning how to direct and
Right.
watching all the classic movies, like before he, you know, got to work in television. It was like I need to learn this art, this medium. And he
Mhm.
was very dismissive of television. Like he had opportunities to direct uh, like an episode of The Wire, an episode
Wow.
of The Shield, and he called it it was like drug dealing. He said, where it was like once you do it, it's like it's a stain forever, kind of
Mhm.
like you can't get that off your resume. Like, you know, when he
Right.
started out, being referred to as a TV director was a slur, because
Right.
TV director was, you know, basic, basically. Like there
Mhm.
was nothing like, and he kept that mentality like literally till like the day he died. Like the last, like a week before his death, he was a few days before his death, he was in Costa Rica.
Mhm.
Uh, they were filming an episode of Snowfall, and he took aside the director. I spoke to the director of the episode, and he took him aside and he was like, yo, man, just remember why you're here. Like, you have a visual eye. Don't give me any of that TV shit where you just point and shoot. Like, you need to elevate this, you know? And so, even though he had been working on TV, this was like season 3 of Snowfall, he
Yes.
still kind of like looked down on the medium, where he was like, you know, treat this like a film, you know? So I found that like really interesting. And then all the behind the scenes stuff in Snowfall, which you'll get to soon.
Right. So I'm interested because like people forget, and it wasn't until I started diving into this book that I realized. I mean, like I remember it, but I don't remember it because you know we didn't have the internet in 1990.
Right.
John Singleton was 23 when he broke onto the scene, in his early 20s. And so
Yeah.
with the success of Boyz in the Hood, you know, now he's thrust into a different stratosphere. Now, it's like you said, leading up to that, he was telling people, "Hey, I'm gonna I'm going to direct this film. I remember in the book, he spoke very highly and talked to Ice Cube saying, hey, I'm going to do this film. I'm going to put you in it. And Ice Cube was like, yeah, okay, whatever. You know, like he's not
He was
really
some guy that he met backstage at Arsenio.
right.
And then the guy he ran into at a Farrakhan rally and the guy he ran into at a Public Enemy concert. And by the way, how funny is it that like the three places he ran into him was an
Crazy.
Arsenio show, a Farrakhan rally, and a P concert at the Palace in Hollywood.
Craziest place.
Like if you were writing this, like that would be like cliched, right? If you're like, I'm gonna have two young black guys like meet up at three places, like this is where they're gonna meet up at.
Exactly. And so even, and I do remember, you may have been a little bit too young to remember this, but I do remember there was some pushback on not so much as Boyz in the Hood, but the fact that he was casting a lead who had no Hollywood experience. He was a rapper. And I mean, Ice Cube at the time was one of the hottest rappers in America, but again, he's a rapper. He has no acting experience, and obviously he comes off so raw. How do you think how important was it to cast Ice Cube? I mean, we knew he told him that he'd do it, but how important was it to cast him, and you know, what role did he play in that success of that movie?
Well, he had the role that he played was that he was fantastic in the movie. You know, like there's no one else that you can imagine in that role.
No.
It's funny, like I did I wrote up a list for Complex, like when the book dropped, and it was about like the 40 best performances of John Singleton movies, and like right from the time I was like, yo, I want to do this list, like Ice Cube was gonna be number one. Like it's an incredible performance. It was one of those performances where like if it happened today, he would win every single like best supporting actor award. Like he'd win like the Critics' Choice Award, like New York Film Critics, LA Film Critics, Golden Globe, Oscars. But back then they didn't nominate rappers, they didn't nominate black people as much.
Big facts.
Like the Academy has always been old and white, and it was older and whiter in like 1991 than it is now even.
That's a great answer.
But he's incredible in the movie, and it just shows like the vision that Singleton had, where you know, he based the character like on one of his friends, kind of this guy Michael Winters, whose nickname was Fatback, and he kind of gave a tribute to him later on in Snowfall. There was like a heavy enforcer whose name was Fatback. And so he realized that like Cube had basically like the confidence, but also like the depth in him to play the role. You know, I had reported on this previously, like when I did the first oral history, like Singleton told me this, but when he wrote the script initially, like he envisioned all four members of NWA, because he wrote it in like September of '89, and this was like 2 or 3 months before they broke up. I think they broke up in like,
I just thought about it. Yeah,
Cube left like a little later on, but like when he wrote the screenplay, the script for the first time, they were all together. And it was Cube was gonna be Doughboy. I think Dre was gonna be Monster. Eazy-E was gonna be I forgot which one. I think Easy was gonna be Lil Chris.
Lil Chris in the wheelchair.
I'm not sure. But anyway, he envisioned the four members of NWA as like those four guys. You know, Cube, Dookie, Monster, and Lil Chris. And then, you know, he focused on Cube, which was the right move for sure. But yeah, Ice Cube is incredible in it, man. Like, not just the scene at the end, you know, just even like little thing, like just like the way he's like dealing the cards in the beginning, you know what I mean? Like at the barbecue, and just like the conversation that they're having in the car at Crenshaw, when he's like, "When did you get all religified?" or something like that. He goes, when he said like, "God was a bitch," like that was like he's incredible in that scene. Like he's incredible in every scene in the movie.
I like when he said Furious was Malcolm Farrakhan.
Malcolm Farrakhan, yeah. You know, it's funny the line in the movie where he when Regina King's character like chugs the 40, and he goes, "You better take your ass back to the store with that." Like one of Singleton's friends was telling me, like when he was first showing the script to people, like he loved that line, like "take your ass to the store," that he thought it was hilarious. He was like, "You don't find that funny? You don't find that funny?"
Wow.
That movie doesn't work with somebody else as Doughboy. Like the casting is perfect. Like every single role is perfect. Like the fact that he brought in like friends from the neighborhood who weren't actors, like Lloyd Avery, who played the guy, the blood who kills Ricky.
Right.
Lil Chris was just some guy who like came into the production studio. Dookie was like, he was auditioning cars, you know, for like Volkswagens for like the scene on Crenshaw.
Right.
And he wasn't even an actor. The guy who played Dookie, for his name, I'm sorry, forgive me.
And he passed away too, I think.
He got murdered. He got murdered like right before like a month or two before Higher Learning came out. Street racing in LA. And he got murdered at a street race. But yeah, he was just a guy who was in a Volkswagen car club. That's why his nickname was V-Dub, you know? And Singleton went to audition cars, and like, here's this guy sucking on a pacifier, and he's like super charismatic, and like they hit it off, and it's like, he'll play that role, you know? So yeah, the casting, I mean, it had been reported before, but like he cast like Cuba Gooding and Morris Chestnut the first day, you know?
Wow. That is amazing. That is truly amazing. I'm interested in, like, particularly in this story, you know, I know obviously you learned a lot about him. I just learned a lot about him reading this book and then, you know, doing my search and stuff like that coming up to this episode. I didn't realize that Singleton had as many kids as he had, because I don't ever think and he was married, and it looks like he wasn't married that long.
He wasn't married that long now.
And, you know, and then there's also the kind of parallel in his father where his father had multiple kids and his father never married. In fact, funny part of the book where, and it's typical Black woman, where someone mistakenly says, your husband, they referred to John Singleton's dad as her husband, and she quickly corrects him. She's like, no, we're not married like that. And I could just, in my mind, even though I don't know his mother, I could hear her voice. But he had a lot of success early, obviously, with Boyz n the Hood. Did the success, I don't want to say, did it hurt him going forward as far as like what he could or couldn't do in Hollywood?
I was to say the success was overwhelming, and it was like a huge change. I mean, he basically was, if you remember, like I remember this even I was like 12, like he was a huge celebrity. Like,
yes,
when a director comes out like on a tour, the guy who writes and directs their own script, and it blows up, like they're everywhere. Like, you remember Tarantino after Pulp Fiction came out? I mean, he did Reservoir Dogs already, but like Pulp Fiction was like, you know, impacted the culture. Like, it made $100 million. It was nominated for Oscars. Like, he was everywhere. He was directing an episode of ER. He was guest appearing on like an ABC sitcom. Like, Singleton, like everywhere he went, he was a celebrity. Like, there's this really great Rolling Stone profile of him from that time, where he's in New York, and he's at an Ice Cube concert. Ice Cube's playing a show at the Apollo, and he walks on stage, and he's like overwhelmed by the reception he gets. Like, Cube introduces him, and he walks on stage, and he just throws a t-shirt into the crowd and like pumps his fist. And he tells the writer afterwards, like, yo, they were cheering for me. And he's like, I'm not even a rapper. Like, I'm a director, and I'm from LA, and I'm in New York. He was always also, actually, like, aside, he was like very like, he really wanted New Yorkers to love the movie.
Really?
Like, because he made the movie for specific audience. He made the movie for Black people in Los Angeles, you know? And if it went universal, it went universal, because if it blew up because of how authentic it was and how true it was to what he was trying to accomplish. That's like a thing too that like I learned about like art in general. Is like, if you accomplish what you set out to do, like if this is the movie I want to write or the book I want to write, and you do it, it's going to find an audience. And that was like something that he was preaching the entire time. But like the fame, like, yeah, man, like he was 23 years old, and he was rich, he was famous, and he was in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And he, like, the women would throw themselves at him, really. And he was someone who, when he was younger, like, was short, skinny, had really thick glasses, like,
not your Hollywood sex symbol.
He wasn't cute. You know what I mean? Like, he wasn't cute. And but he dated a bit, like, the girl, the woman, I should say, that he was dating, like, when he was working on Boyz in the Hood, is, she was a knockout. Like, but when you're that age,
yeah,
like, how do you say no, really?
Yeah, you can't.
And I mean, as you see in the book, like, it kind of, as you the more you read, like, you're still in the middle, like, it becomes like pathological almost, like, it affects his work. Like, when you have, like, you're constantly fielding calls, and, like, just the amount of bandwidth that you have, yeah, like, there's, like, he was very productive, he was a hard worker, but like, when you have that many kids, and when you have that many kids from that many women, like, someone's always mad, someone always needs something. And I can't even imagine going, like, one of the people I interviewed for the book told me, like, they had this one image of him just, like, at his desk, like, in the 90s, with his glasses off, just, like, holding his head, like, rubbing his temples. And I'm sure that was, like, something that repeated itself, like, over the next 25 years. So I don't know what else you can do, though, at that point, like, there has to be a point where you kind of, like, chill, and, like, but it was just one of those things where someone said this too, like, about, like, the age you are when you become famous, you kind of remain that age.
Wow.
You ever hear, like, an actor talk about, like, yo, I'm glad I blew up when I was, like, 35, and I didn't get the success when I was, like, a teenager, or when I was like 21 or 22. And I mean, you could kind of say that with him as well, because, like, the stuff that, and again, just for everybody, like, he did not have drug problems, he did not have alcohol problems. Like, this wasn't like some guy who, he went out all the time, but, like, he would drink, like, Shirley Temples, like, literally, like, like a sugary, like a Sprite with, like, grenadine or something like that. Like, I talked to this one actress that he was friends with, and she was telling me about, like, going out, like, when he was filming Shaft in New York, and, like, they would meet up, like, in, like, Chelsea or downtown for a drink at, like, 2 a.m. and he's having, like, Shirley Temple, so, like, women were his vice. And I believe it impacted his work and his career.
I could see that.
But at the same time, like, he took that and he put it into his work. Like, Baby Boy, it's from having that volatile personal life. Really, like, that movie doesn't exist if he's happily married with, like, a kid and, like,
not even close.
A picket fence. Like, that movie doesn't exist if that's what his life was like at the time.
Not even close. Not even close. I'm curious, man. How long did it take you to write this book? And
too long. Forever.
That's a great answer.
It's like pre-book and, like, post-book. Like, I don't even, like, kind of remember everything.
Wow.
Like, I remember I was talking to someone the other day, and they asked me about something about, like, 2017 or 18, and I was just like, I was like, we did that? We went there? Like, it took, like, so I got the idea. Well, I didn't even get the idea. Like, one of Singleton's friends brought it up when I was interviewing him for another story. And he was like, yo, you should write a book about John. And I always wanted to write a book. Like, I felt like my career was leading up to that. And I started the proposal, like, in the spring of 2021.
Wow.
And we sent it out like that fall, and we got a bunch of rejections. And then, as I mentioned earlier, I think Dilettante came out in like early 2022.
Yes, indeed.
And my agent was like, yo, we should send this out again and see what happens. And we ended up having 2 publishers interested in it, and we took the deal that we took. And so this was like now Memorial Day weekend. I remember Memorial Day weekend 2022. It was funny because we had like an expensive bottle of champagne in the house, and my wife and I were planning on popping it like on election night 2020. But
say less.
Yeah. But the like it wasn't announced. The return, like it wasn't official until like Saturday morning.
Right.
If you remember. And like,
I remember vividly.
we were just like, yeah, this is kind of lame to like pop the champagne like for like, I kind of want to do it at like 10 o'clock, you know what I mean, on election night. And that didn't happen. So we just like forgot about it in the fridge for like 2 years, a year and a half. And I remember like going to my parents' house for a barbecue on Memorial Day weekend and us finally opening the champagne. And can I tell you, like, I'm not into champagne at all. Like, I feel like it's really, I feel like it's too sweet. And if I have more than 2 glasses, it'll give me a hangover. And that was even before I was old, you know, like that was even when I was like young. But man, like, I'll drink expensive champagne if you have it. It's like, it was delicious. You totally taste the difference. But anyway, so I got the deal in Memorial Day 2022, and I delivered a draft in October 23.
Wow.
So that was like, so it was basically like almost like a year. I started writing it. Like I was supposed to write it earlier, but I made a lot of rookie mistakes. It was my first book, and I thought I could deliver it, and it was an unrealistic timeline.
Okay.
Like, so basically I learned now like the time frame I need to do another book, and I would like to do one eventually again, just because like even though it was difficult, there's kind of like, I don't want to say like there's no purpose right now, but like it just feels like I'm like in between things, kind of, you know what I mean? And like when you're working on something like that, it kind of drives you, and
of course,
it's really fulfilling. Like when you have like a good day, like when you like land a source, and when you have a good interview and all that. So anyway, long story short, like I needed more time to research. I probably needed like 4 months to research.
Okay.
Like before I even started reporting it. I started reporting it after like, not even more than 4 months. I probably would need like 4 or 5 months to research it.
Okay.
And then like a year of reporting, or 9 months of reporting, and then like 4 months of writing. And then for some reason I thought I could do the entire thing in a year. And that was just like idiotic. Like just like totally
mistake,
like,
right?
Yeah, like just total like arrogance and hubris thinking that I could pull that off. But anyway, like the first draft was delivered in October, and then there was like a few months where nothing happened, just where like I was late, so you kind of get lost in the queue basically with the edits. And then like my second draft was like, I like to think is where the magic happened, because my first draft is like, I actually have my first draft, like when they send you back the edits, it's like kind of laminated, and the notes are all in the margin, which I love because it's just so old school kind of. So the second draft, I took a long time on my second draft. Like usually like I've learned like with the publishing industry, you usually get like 2 months on the second draft. I was like super honest with my editor. I was like, yo man, like this needs work. So I think it was like I spent like 4 months on my second draft.
Wow.
And then like I had another couple months of downtime, and so the book went to the printers like in March.
Okay.
Should have been earlier, but we don't need to get into that. But it took forever. It was like 3 years, 3.5 years.
Wow.
Too long. Like it was just like, I mean, I just spent like a couple of minutes talking about how much I love the process, but like there comes a point where like you need to like
Of course.
move on, and like it's just this stereotypical like artist thing where it's never good enough. I never have enough sources. I need to do more interviews. I need to like fix this paragraph. I need to fix this chapter. I need to change this lead, and you're never happy with it. And that's why like, you know, Detox never came out. That's why Stanley Kubrick, not to compare myself to these guys, but like
I know
I'm like,
exactly
you know,
what you mean.
I'm like a, you know, come on.
We're never
I'm
getting
like
Detox.
Yeah, I'm like a, I'm like come on, I'm like a C+ player. But that's real though. Like you never think it's good enough, and you just keep
That's a creative.
keep working on it.
That's a creative for you.
Totally. So it took forever, you know. But I learned, and if I do another book, which hopefully that happens, I know the time frame. I know what to do differently with research, with reporting, with writing, everything. Like, and you know, so like real quick, like the funny thing about writing a book is that like I went like over a year without writing. Like, so when it's time to sit down and write, like I was like rusty. So my first draft was bad. You know, it got better eventually because you're writing like you're trying to do at least 2,000 words a day, and like at least like 5 days a week. Like, you know, I have like, it's funny, I have like a notebook where I logged like how much it's kind of like a souvenir for myself, really, where it was like July 2nd, like 1,783 words, kind of. So I needed to get better at writing. I needed to, because I was rusty, because I spent a year just researching, reading, and doing interviews, and not a lot of writing happening then. And then you sit down to write, and it's like the blank piece of paper, like the blank Google Doc or the blank like Word doc. It's intimidating, and it's on you to fill it up. Like it's not gonna happen by itself.
Not at all.
Yeah,
not at all. I know it's kind of like, you know, both of us are sports fans, you know, winning the championship and being, you know, standing on the podium and somebody saying, okay, hey, well, what are you going to write about next? It's almost like being in a delivery room and somebody asks you, we want to have another kid. I mean, like the kid just got Jesus. So do you have an idea as to what you would attack next? Because I mean, like, oh, wow. Really?
2.
Okay. 2. Okay, I'm not going to ask.
I can't talk about it.
No, I don't. I just wanted to know if it was already in your mind.
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure. They're both, and both ideas are not West Coast ideas. Where I would have to like, they're closer to home. One of them is.
So did you have to travel out west a lot?
See, yeah, I went to LA for a week, and I went early on in the process. Like it was, so like I said, I got the deal in May. I went in like, it was the week after Thanksgiving, 2022.
Okay.
And real funny, actually not funny. Like I got COVID for like the first time.
Wow.
Like I had avoided it for like 2.5 years, and I got it like the day before Thanksgiving. That was like a Wednesday, and my flight was on Monday. And luckily, like it was like a really bad cold for 36 hours. Like I was good. Like on Thanksgiving, I slept like 12 hours, and I was like good to go. Like Friday night, I felt like back to myself, really. And I was just like, God, could you imagine if I fucking miss this flight? If I can't go because this fucking COVID, like I avoided it.
Was this when you had
years.
To present a COVID test or whatever before you boarded a flight or something? Was it back in that time?
I don't think there ever was that point where you had to present a test. You know what I mean? Because there were definitely people who were like positive, who were like going on the flights. And they're like, I'm not going to lose my deposit. I'm not going to. But no, I was masked up on the plane. I mean, I wasn't contagious at that point. But I went to LA for a week just to interview people and to like meet people. I kind of wish I went later on in the process where like I had a lot more knowledge about Singleton and where I needed to go and what I needed to see while I was in LA. And I always thought I was going to make it back for like another week, but just life happened and I couldn't go.
Right.
But I feel like that's like something that like I wish that was like my greatest challenge with the book really was that like, you know, I was from New York and like LA he moved around a lot as a kid as you know, you read in the book. And like, I kind of wish like the one thing I mean, the many things, but like the one thing I wish I did differently was I wish I was like, had more time in Los Angeles where I could like go to this high school, go to this place where he lived, walk the streets that he walked. I always kind of wanted to do that, but again, I didn't get a chance to make it back. But like that's something that like when you ask me about like what projects I'm thinking about doing, like one of them, it would be I'd be able to do that like easily. But you know, we shall see. Like,
Cool.
I have a job now that I love, that I really enjoy doing. I'm busy all the time, which is like kind of like, I don't know about you. Like, I hate being bored. Like,
oh no, I'm not bored. I'm never
it's
bored.
like, yeah, it's like
I'm always doing something.
When you're like waiting on stuff, like, because I freelance. I was like a freelance writer for a long time, and when you had like a dip. You didn't have stuff to work on and you were just like, I'm just going to pitch stories today. Like, I mean, obviously you have to do it because you have to eat, but at the same time, it's like you find excuses to do other things. Like, and it's just like, I hate like not having a purpose and like, just like not working towards something.
Of course.
And then like, it's not good enough to just like kill time by like going to the gym or reading a book or watching a movie.
It's different.
It's different. Like it's just, you feel so much better about yourself when you're like accomplishing things every day. So like, I kind of don't want to go back to that.
Understood. Again, a couple more questions before I get you out of here. Snowfall. I've told you that it's one of my favorite TV shows, period.
Right.
There was some discourse, if you will, between Rick Ross, the convicted or former convicted drug kingpin who Snowfall's loosely based on, as to what his story was and what he wanted to put out and what ultimately became Franklin Saint's story that John wrote for Snowfall. Did you find out, because there's some discrepancy as to, he's telling people, and I don't necessarily know if he said it when John was alive.
He did say it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you know where I'm going here.
Yeah.
So what was the situation with that?
Well, I reached out to Rick Ross to interview him for the book, and I didn't get a response. But like, he'd given a lot of interviews on it.
Okay.
And him and Singleton had met. They met early on, like in the 90s, and then they had breakfast like when Rick Ross was released from prison.
Okay.
And there was talks about Singleton directing a movie on Rick Ross's life, and Rick Ross claims that like Singleton ghosted him and would like give him a number and then not change the number afterwards.
Oh wow.
I think Rick Ross has a beef, you know? I think he has a legit, because they were talking about stuff, and then Singleton he hooked up with another writer. Like basically like as you'll read in the book, like there's a writer who grew up in LA and he was obsessed with Dark Alliance.
Okay.
You know, the Gary Webb series, and I think the San Jose Mercury News, is that the paper?
That was it.
Basically about like the CIA, you know, pumping crack and the whole thing with the Contras and all that. And he really wanted to write about that. And Singleton, so basically like his agent was Singleton worked with Singleton's agent, and that's how they got hooked up.
Okay.
And they met and they collaborated, and it was like, John is working on something similar. You guys should talk. I think John is working on something similar. you know? So I think that like that could be the Rick Ross thing. So I think, you know, I think there's more to it. Like I wish I had a chance to talk to Freeway, but I think that from what you piece, and it's something that like, you know, you see everything that was that all the interviews that Rick Ross did, and then you talk to, you know, the agents, and when they say something like that, you're like, your spidey sense tingles.
Right.
It's like, well, what was that thing that John is working on that's something
Right.
similar? Because the thing he was working on at the time was like this thing about Miami and about like, you know, clubs in Miami and a drug dealer in Miami. So yeah.
You just never know.
That's a good question.
Thanks. Yeah. Before I
because I didn't explicitly say that in the book, but I'm just, this is more my opinion. You know what I mean? Like
that's valid. It is truly valid, because like I always wonder, and I'm like you, I'm trying to, when I've heard and seen some of his interviews, I try to kind of piece things together, because the truth is somewhere in there. And obviously John's no longer with us to, you know, clarify as to what, you know, happened. So
it was like kind of like it was funny because it was kind of like a Chaz Palminteri, like Usual Suspects moment,
right,
where like I'm like rereading this like at the end, like we're talking about like earlier this year, like right before it's going to the printer. And when I see that quote from the agent, like John's working on something similar, you guys should get up, I was just like, oh shit. I think that's really kind of
right.
Could be something.
Could be something.
Where there's smoke, there's fire.
Exactly. Man, I honestly could keep asking you questions, brother. Last question before we get out of here. I did a little research, and I noticed that you were talking in some of the interviews that you did, you were talking about, you know, John, and obviously the projects and films that he made. So what I want you to do is to rank his film projects, in your opinion, from 1 to 5.
Okay. I could. Well, I'll go 1 to 9. I'll just like hurt your feelings because you know it's gonna be near the bottom.
Sweet.
Boyz number 1, Baby Boy number 2, Rosewood 3. 4 is gonna surprise you. Too Fast.
Wow, really?
I love. Yeah. Because Too Fast is you know, when you look at like the Fast and the Furious movies now, and like they're literally like going into space. Like every single movie is like them saving the world.
Right.
And meanwhile, Singleton's movie, like the stakes are just one guy on the run and one like guy who has like an ankle monitor on him at the beginning of the movie.
Right.
Like double crossing a drug dealer in Miami for like, how much money do they wind up? Remember Pockets Ain't Empty Cuz? Like how much money was it? Like $250,000 or something?
Like that, yeah.
So I mean, which is a lot of money, but I mean, like you talk about like the stakes of like the fall of the movies afterwards. So there's something charming about that movie, and it's very much like a John Singleton film. Like you look at the first Fast and the Furious compared to the second one, and it's like, you know, techno music that's replaced by like, you know, Like a Pimp, you know, David Banner song is playing over the opening credits.
Southern hip hop.
So out goes like the techno into Southern hip hop. Like it's a much more diverse cast. I mean, the original was pretty diverse as well, but this one, like, much more so. There's more eye candy in the movie. There's kind of like a lighter tone. But at this, I mean, lighter as in like there's more jokes, really. But at the same time, like these people are kind of like getting by. Like they're like scuzzy, kind of, you know, like Tyrese is doing like demolition derby shit in the beginning of the movie. Everything it was one of those movies like I didn't like when I first saw it, but when I came across it on cable, like as the other Fast movies became much more popular, I kind of enjoyed it. And then reporting the book, and he had this quote too about like working on blockbusters. People were shocked when he did this movie. They're like, why is the guy who did Boyz n the Hood directing a sequel about cars? And he always wanted to do movies like that. Like he wanted to do blockbusters. He wanted to do like a Western, and then like a Too Fast movie, and then a movie about South Central, and then like he almost tried to do like a Sinbad movie, you know, like the not like Sinbad the
No, I know
comedian,
what you
but like
mean. Wow.
Sinbad, like the Seven Voyages of Sinbad, like an epic like that. Like he wanted to do those movies. He grew up on Spielberg. Like Spike Lee was
He
his
did.
idol,
He did.
you know, but like he wanted to be Spielberg. Like that was the guy, and Spielberg would hop between genres and made big movies.
Movies.
And so after the experience of Shaft, where like he has this domineering producer, and even though like he was connected to Shaft before Scott Rudin was the producer, his vision did not, I mean, there's no sex in Shaft, you know, and he talked about this explicitly. Like, my nightmare is to have like a Shaft with his balls cut off, you know, like, so anyway, Too Fast, he gave a quote saying like, you know, Too Fast is more my type, my speed when it comes to blockbusters. So for Too Fast, 5, I'd say Poetic Justice, even though like I don't think it's a really good movie. I just think Poetic Justice is such a vibe where like it's just, for me, nostalgia. Like I just think of being like 14 years old, and I think of like that summer, and like that's like I went to Greece that summer, and it was like kind of like where I went from being like a little kid to like a teenager, kind of like, and just when I close my eyes and I think of like 1993, like I kind of think of the fashion and like just the images, like and this was like a historical document. Like this was like post, you know, uprising LA, and
facts.
I feel like it's hard for me to describe without like sounding corny, but it's like it's very like of its time, and I think it's important. I think like some of the performances are great, like the story, it's not really a story. It's like a road trip where people like kind of discover that it's a road movie where people kind of discover things about themselves in the movie. I mean, during the trip. But like the ending is terrible. Like it's so sudden. Like it goes from him cursing her out to like him showing up in the salon. But at the same time, like as awful as like that ending is, like, you know, the Janet song comes on again and she smiles and she's beautiful, and it's like emotional. It's like stirring. So anyway, I would say that's 5 just for like selfish nostalgic purposes. 6 for Brothers. It's entertaining. I'm kind of like not into like Wahlberg as much. Like I like him in other roles, but like I mean he's good in the movie.
He is.
But it's just like, I don't know. I think like technically it's one of his better movies. Like the action scenes are good. Like it's interesting that I feel like the action in Four Brothers is like the best stuff that he's done, like better than Too Fast, better than Shaft, like those scenes in particular. But I like it. I enjoy it. Like I'd probably give it like 2.5 out of 4, you know, maybe 3 if I'm generous. So anyway, 6, that. 7, Higher Learning. I feel like Higher Learning is kind of a mess. I think like Higher Learning is a miniseries. It's like a 10 episode. How are you going to do like a multi-person like drama with multiple storylines that takes place over like an entire freshman year in 2 hours? You know, his initial cut of that movie was like 3-4 hours long.
Are you serious?
And, like, and he had to like cut it down. Wow. So anyway, 7, Higher Learning, 8, Shaft, because Shaft is terrible, and 9, Abduction, because Abduction is just kind of like not a John Singleton movie. There's like nothing in it that is him, really. Like it was a job. He hadn't done a movie in 6 years, and he needed to do a movie, and it starred the kid who was like one of the biggest, like supposed to be a star, right? Like everybody thought he was going to blow up like the way Robert Pattinson blew up, and it just didn't happen, and it just wasn't the right movie. So 9 is Abduction. So those are my Singleton rankings, really.
That's a really good ranking, man. I don't have any complaint. Well, I'd probably have Shaft higher, but again, I love it. Maybe it's a bad movie, but I'm gonna take you up on Rosewood. I'm gonna go back and watch that again because I know I saw it when I was younger, and I haven't seen it since it was out.
Yeah, that was a long time ago, man. It was,
that was what, 97? Yeah,
97 it came out. Yeah, so like the performances are great. It's a little slow in the beginning, but like once it hits, it's like scary. And after you if you've read that part of the book and you see like what he had to go through really while they were filming it, and the amount of work that went into constructing the sets, and the elements that they had to deal with, the night shoots and all that, and like how it kind of affected the actors.
Okay.
Rosewood is a great movie. Like, it's definitely worth revisiting. It's definitely the hidden gem. But all these rankings again, like, like Poetic Justice, like that, it's totally selfish for me. Like, it's not selfish. It's totally like just my opinion, and it's basically like the emotions that it stirs in me, which I guess like all music, movies, art does. Like everybody interprets things differently and extracts something differently from the experience of viewing it or listening to it or whatever. So
of course. Well,
it's not wrong if you have something different.
No, I asked for your opinion. So
except if you don't have Boyz n the Hood number one, then it's wrong.
Right. Yeah, if you don't have Boyz n the Hood at number one, something's wrong.
Yeah.
Listen, man, I appreciate you for coming through. Before we get out of here, obviously, tell folks where they can. Well, they should be able to find the book anywhere, but tell folks where they can find the book, maybe where they can find you online or what have you.
Okay, well, I mean, the book is available, like, of course, on Amazon. The Life of Singleton, from Boyz n the Hood to Snowfall. It's from Anscape Books. You type it into Amazon, you should find it. It's in bookstores. If you're in New York, I mean, hit up the Strand bookstore. Hit up McNally Jackson, Barnes and Noble. Online, it's my last name at Golianopulos. Online is social media. I have my opinions on social media, but I'm there sometimes, and you can find me at Golianopulos. And yeah, man, thank you for having me on, and thank you everybody for listening, and cop that book.
Yeah, definitely. Please cop the book. It's called The Life of Singleton, from Boyz n the Hood to Snowfall. Again, you have an invitation to come back and we can talk hip hop, because I'm really interested to hear about the time at the Source. And then, like, again, we're some hip hop.
I have source stories. I
know you do. and real quick,
I love that time though. Like,
real quick, were you there for any bomb threats?
Not bomb threats, but I was there in like meetings with like the figures, the infamous figures that you know about. Dave was cool. Ray was cool.
Ray.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we got to talk
about it next time.
we got to talk, and the reason why I'm saying this, folks, is because like if there was an infamous story of that anytime there was an album that was being reviewed by the Source magazine, and the word got out that the album may possibly get a 5 mic rating, someone would call and threaten to blow up the building. And while that's not something that could happen in 2025, it may or may not have happened back in the early 90s and late 2000s. So
yeah, I was there like my first day as an intern. Like the day I interviewed to be an intern was it was like December 2001. It was actually the day that Nas released Ether, which was December 4th, 2001. But like I was there like every day, not every day. I was there like all of 2002. I got hired in like January 2003, and I was there 2003, 2004, and I left in like May of 2005.
Okay.
I don't think we gave a 5 out while I was there. I know The Fix got a 5, and I was freelancing at the time. I really like The Fix. I listened to it actually like last week, and I don't like, if I don't like 2 songs on a 12-song album, 11-song album, I don't think it's a 5. Like, see, there's a difference between like a classic,
right?
Like you could have a classic album that's a 4 mic album. Could be a classic album.
Ooh, we definitely got to talk now.
The Fix is a classic album, but like there's like 2 or 3 like that's I didn't like the Dub C song that much.
I love the
there's the other
Dub
one,
C song.
See, okay. Like
Oh.
I like the songs that like usually like I wouldn't like, which
Mhm.
are like the like Heaven and like, you
Heaven
know,
was
like
dope.
kind of like the soft Neptune's Beast, but I love those songs. Like, but like, I mean, come on, man. The run where it's like Safe and Guess Who's Back and like
Dude.
My Block, and I forgot what other song is like up there, even though I listened to it like last week. It's phenomenal. But yeah, I mean, I'm not mad at you saying that it's not a 5, you know.
I'll be honest, I'm
I was
stingy with
stunned.
5s.
No, some people are stingy with the 5s and some people are a little too liberal with giving out 5 mics. You know what I mean? It's
we
so that was a discussion. You know, I was surprised when I saw, like, because remember they put it on the top of that issue. I think it was the Murder Inc. issue.
Yes.
It was the Ja and like Charlie Baltimore and Ashanti were on the cover. And I remember like the skyline, like the thing at the top of the magazine, there was like 5, they showed the 5 mics and it's like, who got the 5 mics or something like that. And I remember being like, what the fuck got 5 mics? Like, because this was like now like August, and I was like, was it Clips? Was it that album came out around that time? I was like, was it going to be a bullshit 5? Like, because you know, like a politics 5, like where it was a favor.
Yeah,
you know,
I think there were a few of those.
I mean, early on, later on, sure. I mean, like the Lil Kim got a 5 mic for like, come on, that was like a 3 mic album. Like that shit
might have been a 2 mic album.
Oh, see. Okay, you give out 2s. I mean, they never gave out 2s.
I'm being facetious. I don't give out 2s, but I mean, like, I heard that album 2 times. It wasn't a 5 mic album, but again,
it wasn't good.
I'll put it like this: I'm one of the people that believe that 1988 was the greatest year in hip hop, and I'm living to die on that hill. So my ear's a little bit different. So
yeah, of course.
You know, so
it's funny, real quick. I know before we jet, like it's funny, like. I was like kind of one of the younger people there. Okay. I was working there right out of college. So there were a lot of people there who were like 4 years older than me, 5 years older than me. And it was like kind of like the predictable thing where it's like, if you're like a 50-year-old rap fan, like Nation of Millions is like probably your favorite album. If you're like 45, Illmatic is probably your favorite album. If you're 40, Get Rich or Die Trying is probably your favorite album. If you're 35, it's probably like the Carter 3 is your favorite album. So it's like every 5 years, it's like, you know, whatever that's like hit you when you were like 15 years old, like that's the one that you're gonna like wave the flag and say like, this is the best album ever. But you know, ain't no best.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough because like, I will say that like Paid in Full is probably the best. Or maybe it's my favorite, but Illmatic is right there. Like, I'm not going to argue about Illmatic, Paid in Full, It Takes a Nation of Millions, you know, but there's a generation of kids who, you know, My Twisted Dark Fantasy, that's their jam. And like, having gone
that's
back,
like the fourth best. That's like the fourth best. I got into this argument the other day. Like, I feel like every song on that album is like a minute to like 90 seconds too long. Like, there's no reason to have like 7-minute rap songs where you have like just like,
dude. I've been saying that for years. I've been
Graduation. Like, to me, I would put Graduation. See, this is a hot take. Like, I don't think Kanye has a 5 mic album. I would probably give like Dropout, Late Registration, Graduation, Twisted Fantasy. I'd probably give them all 4.5s.
That's
because
fair.
I feel like each one has like a flaw. Like, I feel like Twisted Fantasy, every song is really good, but every song, like I said, is a minute too long. Graduation has like 2 bad songs on it. Late Registration has like 5 or 6, like it's 20 songs, but like there's like a stretch, like that Brandy record,
right?
And like I forgot, there's like 3 records that are like in a row, where it's like not right at the end. It's like I think like 11 to like 14 around there, and it's like skip.
What about Dropout?
Dropout has you know, you tell this to Kanye and he'll lose his shit because he Breathe In, Breathe Out. Like, I kind of like Breathe In, Breathe Out, but again, like it's just I feel like 5 is like, I can't change anything on it. I don't want to change anything on it.
There you go. I feel the same way. Like,
I don't want to fast forward anything.
I tell
like
people,
even the song like One Time for Your Mind is a good song. Like, I'm not going to put One Time for Your Mind on a mixtape, but One Time for Your Mind is like a really good song. Like, but it's just like, is it as good as World Is Yours? Or is it as good as Life's a Bitch? Like, no, but I mean, the people who would be like, oh, there's only 8 good songs on Illmatic. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about, man? Like, so yeah, the 5 classic, that's like a whole other like
do it.
podcast.
Trust me, that is when you get the time, you're more than welcome to come back and like I said, we'll chop it up because we're in the same area as far as our likes and dislikes as far as hip hop is concerned. I can see that already just based on this conversation. But ladies and gentlemen, that's gonna do it for us. So for my man Thomas Golianopoulos, I am your boy 12 Kyle. We will catch you guys next time. 5,000.